and it's now actually gotten kind of cool outside. So hope everyone's having a good Friday so far. Term's almost over. Thought I'd check in with everyone and see how the day is going. Everybody's waving at me, at least on Instagram. So I've got my coffee here. It's not the Dalgona. Okay. So hope everyone's doing well. Hope the term is ending off smoothly, I hope, for folks. We know that there's a whole bunch of questions coming out on a convocation. Let me move myself closer here. So yeah, no, you actually, just about a few minutes ago, a note would have come out from the president about convocation. So yes, it's been postponed. It has not been canceled. There will be a very cool idea around a virtual convocation. The president will go in and do all that kind of stuff. And then we are definitely planning a physical convocation for folks sometime in the fall, assuming we can all get together at that point. Get everybody together, the whole faculty. It'll follow the same processional stuff. We'll all be there. So really looking forward to getting together with people in person. So stay tuned. We'll be providing more details on our true convocation. It'll be a unique one for sure, but yeah, everyone heard loud and clear that you wanted a convocation, and it just to be clear, it was never canceled. It was just postponed until we get back together. But yeah, we've got some. I'll be sending a note later on today to everybody about that. So stay tuned. Keep checking your email. So just to remind everyone that if you are kind of feeling a little isolated, if you're feeling a little isolated right now, all your advisors are still available. Lots of virtual common rooms. We sent out a couple notes about that. First year office for sure. Great shout out to Enzi and Jen and folks that are manning the first year office and the registrar's office. They've been running a great series of virtual common rooms, so feel free to drop in on them and ask them any questions that come up. Can you increase the volume of your voice? I can start yelling, but my neighbors will wonder who I'm talking to. So hopefully this is a little bit better. So feel free to reach out to your department advisors. Lots of departments are having common rooms. If they're not, then pester them to have one, because we've got the technology, and I know everyone's happy to chat with folks going forward. So please do take advantage of that. A couple of people have been asking questions about the new year, planning ahead, I guess, for the fall. Just to let you know, nothing's changed. I did thank you for the fine April Fool's prank that was pulled, but no, nothing's been canceled for September. Everything's rolling forward as per normal. I know that NSTOC is working hard on what they're going to do for Frosh Weeks for those who are interested or coming in September. I know they've got some cool stuff planned. Everything's going to roll out like normal. We're planning for all sorts of eventualities, but we're hopeful, fingers crossed, that everything's back to normal for September, and we'll see everybody that first week of September in Con Hall, hopefully. But yeah, everything's going to roll out as per normal. And so around that, for those who are interested, all our admissions processes are running like normal. It's full steam ahead. We know that there are challenges around high school grades right now, and for those who are in high school right now, we know that it's challenging for this whole online lecturing and all that kind of stuff that's starting back up. But we're moving full steam ahead on that. Offers are going out, particularly to our international students right now. Early offers are going out to domestics as well. So everything's on track, normal schedule, as per usual. So if you're waiting to hear, you should be hearing stuff fairly soon from our registrar's office. So all is good in that context. So I just got a thumbs up on that one. So I think that's good. So a couple other questions people were getting. For those in program right now, we have been sending lots and lots of messages to our instructors, to the faculty. They're all planning. They've all been consulting with you, I hope, around what the final assessment would look like. Remember, this is an assessment, not necessarily just the final exam. We've all been working really hard with our ed tech folks, Allison in particular, on strategies around what the final assessment or exam or strategies, what it'll look like, how we're going to make sure the accommodations are in place, and really just working out as many kinks as we can before we go into the process. A number of students, different classes, your instructors may have actually kind of done practice tests through Quarkus to make sure that everyone knows how that stuff works, in particular the faculty, because it's, we're always the last ones to figure out whether this stuff actually works, and we want to make sure that works for you ahead of time. So yeah, all that information should be coming forward to you about what that's going to look like. I think the ideal goal is to get that to you as soon as possible. So you should be hearing soon from your instructors about that. Yeah, so what else is on my list of stuff that people have been asking me? What else on my list? So yeah, if you've just joined in, remind everybody, Convocation is still going on. It is just being, actually it's not even postponed. We're still going to do a virtual Convocation on an actual date in June. And then parchments will be mailed out to folks, and then we will be holding a physical walking down the procession type event in the fall for the whole faculty. Where is up in the air at the moment. It is challenging to get places like Con Hall, but it's not impossible. So we'll be working with lots of folks to figure out the best place to do it, and obviously making sure there's enough space for folks. So if you happen to have cool ideas about where you'd like to have Convocation, do let me know. Faculty at one point were saying, hey, we should do it at Rogers. And I was like, that's cool, a bit big. But anyways, we're going to see what we can do around venues. So stay tuned. Ideally, we would try to do it inside Con Hall, but we'll see. Scheduling wise in the fall is difficult to do for Con Hall, because it is actually quite a popular place to hold stuff, and it's very difficult to actually get in there. So, yeah. So, so let me check in with folks. The term's close to being over. I know I have to give one of my final lectures in my grad course later on this afternoon. But hey, let me know how everything's going in class right now. I know we had that really rapid transition week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and hopefully things have kind of settled in terms of the delivery. But fire out some notes to us. Let us know how it's going. We'd be super keen to hear about, especially if you had courses which were kind of largely online, and then just the pivot was a lot smaller, versus courses which were, chalk talks, and then really, really quickly pivoted to online. Ideas on what worked, what didn't work, accounting for sort of the rapidity of the transition. But we'd be certainly keen to hear on ideas that you may have heard, or if you've actually got friends or at other institutions, what did they find? We've been having lots of really good chats with deans from around Canada about how the experience has gone for them. Lots of the same decisions, lots of the same kind of feedback from them, lots of the same challenges are coming up across the country, probably around the world as well. But for sure, we want to hear if you've got any ideas on ways to make it better, things that we could change as best we can. So I got a couple of questions here. So a couple of things, just remind you as the term is ending that all your advisors are available. They're through the virtual common rooms. The first year office as well is running regular common rooms for you to drop in and ask questions. I know they're keen to hear from you about how things are going. So again, if you have questions, concerns, and the learning strategist, Melissa's available as well. So do feel free to reach out, drop them a quick note. See if they've got ideas. And actually, I asked this question last week as well. It'd be great to hear from you as to your best strategies for learning right now. If you're when you're at home and if you're in your residence hall, I know that it's difficult because the libraries are closed, and maybe the traditional places are closed for where you could study. It's kind of hard to go hang out at a Starbucks right now because majority of them are closed. What are you finding is working well? But a lot of that sort of stuff is available online for you to check into and ask questions. So do reach out if you're running into any challenges, or if you maybe have hints for your friends. It's a great way to kind of share what we're all kind of going through right now. I know that I'm still trying to figure out how to make my home office work. I know I'm rearranging the furniture in the house right now so that my kids actually have a home office. We just renovated it out, so they've now got actually more desk space than I currently have for them. So it's everything's a work in progress right now. So I did get a couple of questions for me actually about, how am I staying fit without going outside of the house? That's a little hard, but yeah, no, for a little bit about me and stuff, still trying to get out in the morning, trying to maintain my now 2-meter distance, I guess, between people. I am not running through Mount Pleasant Cemetery since they just closed it, but folks are asking what's my favorite running route. I kind of live in North Toronto area, so one of the routes I like to run is actually up through Earl Bales, all the way up to York Cemetery, and then kind of wind my way back down Bayview, down through the valley, through Sunnybrook, and then kind of loop back up. So it's a nice couple of good routes, which get me out for a couple hours, sometimes a 3-hour run. So you get out there, and it's nice to kind of wind through the different neighborhoods. So, but what's nice about this area, and I've told this to a bunch of colleagues, is that there are so many routes here that wind around up and down through the ravines and so on. So Toronto's a great running city. We did get some questions about PY. So yeah, actually I did ask Roger and the ECC group about what they're doing in the PY space. So there's a lot of pivoting that's going on. They have not had as many companies as you might expect kind of all of a sudden postpone stuff. They've postponed launches for some of the PY internships. So rather than May, some of them being pushed a little bit out to June or to July. And that's just I think it depends a little bit on location. So as companies, especially if they're international, get these restrictions lifted, then the students can come into place. There's a really good push right now around enabling internships that would allow you to stay remote for a while until the restrictions get lifted, then go to internships. So companies are being pretty flexible, and we're working quite well with them. So it's not a hard stop. The office is still working. Companies are still offering internships, and so we're working on all sorts of creative ideas about how to keep things going. So if you're in PY, you're about to head into PY, you're coming back from PY, everything's still a go. There's obviously going to be a few changes depending on where the PY is being held, but I think do stay in touch with the ECC office because they're working really hard to make sure that those experiences stay in play. And I have some ideas about how to talk to companies, because I think this is actually the time they need to be thinking about keeping those internships going, because it's important to continue those relationships. There's a very specific question. Any news if biozone research labs will be open during the summer? So that's a bigger question for the university. It's a day-by-day, week-by-week type thing for the university as a whole. What we're trying to do right now, as many people know, all the on-campus research, unless it's COVID-related, is being shut down. And so as time goes on and as the restrictions start to change within the province, then the university will start to reopen research labs. But right now we have no timelines on any of that. Again, part of the reason is that you want to minimize people gathering, even if it's in research labs, where even if in the research lab you may not have too many people interacting with each other. It's all about getting to the research lab itself and maintaining this physical distancing. So as you may have been seeing all the ads out, the whole goal of this flattening the curve thing is to just prevent people from actually interacting with each other. So the stay inside thing is really what they're trying to enforce. So I know that it's a challenge and people want to do their research internships. The engineering has not canceled any of its summer research programs. All of those are still going. There were USRAs are being offered. The summer research fellowships are being offered. All of that's still in play. the nature of the project might actually change. That's about it. Some of it may become online, some may become informatics analysis, data analysis, and so on. Good question here from Aaron around when do we expect everything with classes to get back to normal? I think that's a question you may have to ask the virus and how it's going around, because that's a question that everybody wants to know. You can look at the modeling curves and figure out when this peak is going to go through, and that, you know, the faster we can flatten that curve and prevent people from interacting, the sooner we can get back to normal. So right now, it's who knows. And I think if you listen to public health and you follow their instructions, that'll give you a sense of what they're anticipating. One of the challenges I think going forward is you know, what's happening in China right now, which is the rebound. So you start getting waves of this infection going around the world in cycles. So that becomes one of the challenges. So this is not going to be something that's going to disappear in the next, you know, week and a half. You know, if you listen to public health right now, you're looking at quite a substantial amount of time. So our hope, just in general, frankly, is going to be, you know, that we get back to normal for September. But we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. As soon as I know what's going on, I'll let you know. Let's see. So in terms of admissions and stuff, we're on track for our admissions cycle, where everything's still rolling forward like normal for admissions. So all that's still on track. The school, yeah. So all of our processes will be are continuing. Lots of questions around clarification around credit, non-credit, around credit, non-credit for things like scholarships at best advice, and I've had to answer this question a bunch of times. Is to talk to your departmental advisors. We've put up a bunch of FAQs up around that discussion in particular. You know, again, the key is that you'll be able to see your final grades before you make the decision about percentages or credit, non-credit. But definitely talk to your advisor, talk to the registrar's office about the strategies behind that. We're allowing it for all courses, but it's going to depend on your individual circumstances as to whether you do that, you make that decision. This is particularly important for those who are looking at graduate schools going forward because of the implications of making specific decisions. So lots of questions around fees. So those are questions the university is looking at right now. So we're looking at the questions around fees and tuition and things like that going forward. The university has actually a working group looking at how to manage that and what that means for things which are currently in play, which is hard, versus things which are going to be starting up, for instance, in the summer and so on. So stay tuned. That information is going to come out not through us directly, but largely through an institutional policy. So that's something that institutionally everyone's looking at right now. I certainly understand some of the challenges in that space. So summer courses right now largely going to be, given the timeline we're looking at. Yeah, so one of the questions, not related to COVID, but when's the deadline for track ones to choose a major? So actually, to be honest, I don't actually know. Yeah. So the question was here is what's the deadline for track ones? Yeah, so it's May 15th. And so again, all the information will be available or is available through the portal site itself. So yeah, for track ones, the engineering portal itself. So check there, May 15th for track ones. So we had a question a little bit. This is a challenging one around the online process itself. Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit. Actually, I'm going to switch a little bit. This is So this is an interesting question that we're getting, and one that we're grappling with a little bit, and this is around the online final assessments and the work you'll be doing on your own as part of your final grade. And this kind of speaks a little bit to academic integrity. And, for me, this is a question about your own personal integrity and your, what you value in a sense. And I think, there are challenges because of the ability now to find data, post questions to Chegg and all that sort of stuff. And I think, you need to think and look at yourself and ask yourself whether that posting and then reposting and copying answers down, it is easy to do. It's easy to plagiarize. It's easy to do all that kind of stuff. Realize that this is going to have an impact on yourself. From my perspective, this is certainly not an appropriate way to work right now, and know that going forward you will be signing on as an ethical responsibility engineer, that you are following your own personal ethics and your academic integrity and your ethical duty as an engineer going forward. And that academic offenses, we will be able to detect whether people are online, finding answers, doing all that kind of stuff. We would hope, and my hope is that this particular situation actually goes the opposite direction, and we have very few incidents of this sort of stuff happening. We know that this happens now. It's very easy to find out. We know that this happens during the term. And so don't do it. Fundamentally, this is part of your personal ethic, and if you are, you need to think about deeply to yourself about what you value. As I've said before, it's that this is a challenging time for everybody. If you contribute an answer and others borrow your answer, then both parties are at fault. And so be aware of that. This is something to test your own ability in a particular course, and I think it's important that you think of it that way. Sure, it's tempting, but it's not worth it in the end. So here endeth my lecture on being ethical, and write your own test. It's more important to do it. You'll probably, frankly, you will spend more time looking for an answer. Yeah, we'll throw a link up about integrity for you to follow. But let me just throw this out to you, and everybody asks this question that, it's so much easier. We can look up stuff online and open book and stuff. And I've been on both sides of that. And you spend more time looking up an answer than you do actually just trying to solve it. And I've seen it when people do open book in-person exams and the frantic page turning that goes trying to find a strategy. Even the frantic aid sheet turning around trying to find stuff. You spend more time doing that than you actually spend solving the question. So, Anyways. Okay. Yes, Chegg should be illegal. Well, I will leave that to you guys to do, but it's a business model that's out there. So there's one thing. It's good to be collaborative. It's good to have study groups to help everybody work, but Okay, so I'm gonna divert from the heavy-handed talk about that, but let me just quickly flip. People are asking about coffee and stuff. So I will say that thank you for the suggestion for trying that TikTok coffee idea, the Dalgona. I did 3 iterations. I finally got it worked out, and I will admit it's a darn tasty way to drink coffee. Probably the best way to make instant coffee actually tastes good. I'm a very flexible coffee drinker. I'm not a heavy sugary coffee drinker. I do like coffee black, but anyways. And my latest experiment, and one that I think a lot of people are doing, which is why you can't find flour yeast right now, is I've got a sourdough starter going in the kitchen. So it's a bit of a biology experiment for the family. So we'll see how this goes. I'll keep you posted on my baking experience shortly. Okay, course evaluations, they're on and available right now. Yeah, so to encourage you to actually spend some time doing the course evaluations for your instructors for the course itself. We recognize for sure that this rapid pivot in the last 3 weeks may skew your answers either way, positive or negative. You may have realized, actually, lectures are super boring if I do them in class, but if online, they're a lot easier. Say that. But we do value those significantly. Back when it used to be in class, I always told my students, this is an important feedback that I will take back and use to fix the way I deliver my courses, adjust the way I do assessments and all that kind of stuff. So that information is super valuable. If there's comments about TAs and all that sort of stuff, those are important things for us to provide feedback, both instructors and to TAs, to help improve the experience for everybody. So, do take them seriously, provide constructive criticism. They're really valuable for all of us. So. What's my opinion on tea? Yeah. So a couple of questions here. What's my opinion on tea? So actually, for a while, I liked herbal tea, which is actually kind of tasty. The other one, obviously, huge Chinese tea drinker. So if I'm out for big Chinese dinners and massive amounts of tea get consumed there, that's quite relaxing. If I make cold brew, actually, no. I have not tried cold brew. I have tried the cold nitro one from Starbucks once, largely because I had enough points, so I didn't have to pay full price for it. It's all right. And actually, if you want cold brew or nitro, wander through the hatchery, because they have one of those dispensers there. You can check into the hatchery, see how they're doing, and then ask if you can get a cold brew from them. Well worth doing that. So we'll take a couple more questions. I actually have to prep for a lecture. I have to give at 1 for my grad course. Yes, I did not make my slides ahead of time, so I'm going to be kind of pulling them together so I can get them up on Zoom for my lecture. Yeah. So. Just to remind you, I know the term's wrapping up, that all this stuff is coming together. But again, reach out to your advisors if you need, if you have any questions, study advice. Melissa's available to talk to you about learning strategies going forward. Do keep me posted if you have any questions coming up. I will be putting out a message later on today about Convocation and our plans, and then as things solidify, we'll keep everyone up to date on venues and things like that, and timing and stuff like that. We know that this is challenging because of the shift. Do know that there will be a plan for a virtual Convocation ceremony in June on the actual day. And then everyone's parchments will actually be mailed out courier to you. So we'll be asking to make sure we've got your actual mailing address. And then we'll be holding this physical ceremony in the fall. We realize that might be a little challenging for folks, because it's easier in June perhaps than in the fall, because people start to disperse. But we'll try to optimize that for everybody, find out our best time. Again, some of the time is going to be a little bit dependent on this little happy thing called Corona and how that may influence when we can start things back up. But again, we're going to be doing our best to keep our comms channels fully open for you. So, okay. So any last quick questions you guys want to throw up on the feed here, and I can quickly take a look. But if not, enjoy. This is Friday, so enjoy the weekend. Take the mental break. Here's a key. Take Saturday off or take Sunday off. Do not open your books. Sit outside, get some fresh air, go for a walk. Make sure your 2 meters or a hockey stick or a moose, whatever the appropriate Canadian analogy is, away from anyone else. But do take a break. It's important, and stay off your social media feeds, at least for a little bit. But yeah, stay in touch. Let me know how things are going, and I'll be sure to keep in touch with you as things go forward. So, all right. Take care, everyone. All right. Stop this. Where's the stop button?